HMS Stirling Castle's departure from Birkenhead on October 23, 2025 marks more than a shakedown cruise. It signals a structural pivot in how the United Kingdom intends to keep waterways safe in an era of increasingly complex seabed threats. The 6,000-ton ship, freshly transferred from the Royal Fleet Auxiliary to full Royal Navy Command in July, has begun sea trials and crew workups that will lead to operational certification later this year. Based at His Majesty's Naval Base Portsmouth and assigned to the Mine and Threat Exploitation Group, she is intended to act as the fleet's principal testbed and support platform for autonomous mine countermeasures. That mission places Stirling Castle at the leading edge of a doctrinal shift away from small, crude minehunters toward larger, motherships, deploying families of unmanned vehicles to find, classify, and neutralize mines at standoff range. The path to this point has been notably pragmatic. Built in 2013 at Vard Brăila in Romania as the offshore support vessel MV Island Crown, the ship spent her early life servicing the wind, oil, and gas sectors. The Ministry of Defence acquired the vessel in February 2023 for roughly £40 million, betting that commercial hulls with robust deck space, endurance, and precise station keeping could be adapted faster and cheaper than designing a bespoke mine hunting platform from scratch. After arriving in the UK, she underwent targeted modifications to serve mine countermeasures maritime autonomous systems. The working deck was reshaped for modular mission containers, workshops were added for maintaining unmanned payloads, and a heavy crane capable of lifting 10 tons at a 34-meter radius, and 5 tons at 40 meters, was installed to handle launch and recovery of both unmanned surface and underwater systems. Power and maneuvering arrangements suit the delicate choreography of robotics at sea. For Bergen C-25:33L, 6 diesels feed twin Kongsberg azimuth thrusters and 3 bow thrusters, giving the ship a high degree of control in tight waters and the dynamic positioning accuracy needed when recovering vehicles in rougher conditions. The expansive afterdeck, roughly half the vessel's length, serves as a configurable workspace where containerized control rooms, battery charging stations, and spares can be arranged to support different mission packages. A flight deck and space for portable command facilities enable embarked teams to coordinate multiple sorties, while the ship's hotel services and endurance allow prolonged operations close to suspected minefields without exposing a crude minehunter to danger. Operationally, the transition from auxiliary to commissioned warship has been compressed by necessity. A crew of around 55 under Commander Philip Harper spent months pulling the ship from lay-up, verifying safety systems, and conducting drills for damage control, propulsion management, and dynamic positioning. That sprint reflects a stop-start recent history, after early trials under RFA management with RNMB Apollo, Hydra, and Hazard, key components of the mine hunting capability, MHC, Block 1 effort. Progress slowed amid an RFA manpower shortfall and a defective crane that sidelined the ship at Camel Laird into late 2024. Handing the vessel to the Royal Navy in May 2025, and completing the formal transfer in July, realigned authorities and resources so the same organization responsible for operating autonomous systems is also responsible for generating the ship that supports them. The stakes are strategic as well as technical. With the Sandown-class minehunters due to leave service by the end of 2025, the Royal Navy is replacing a familiar silhouette, compact, specialized glass-reinforced plastic hulls, with a more modular concept that treats the mothership as a logistics, command, and launch platform. The unmanned vehicles do the dangerous work, leaving the host ship at a safer distance. That approach scales more naturally to today's operating realities, where potential mine threats extend from choke points in the North Sea and English Channel to offshore energy corridors and undersea cables. It also promises faster iteration, containers can be reconfigured, new sensors fielded, and software updated without sending a ship to a long refit. If the concept performs as expected, each hour at sea on Stirling Castle shortens the learning cycle for the entire mine hunting capability program. The industrial and cost logic behind Stirling Castle is equally instructive. Adapting a proven offshore design keeps acquisition timelines short and leverages supply chains already optimized for heavy lift, deck equipment, and dynamic positioning. For a navy balancing nuclear deterrence, carrier aviation, and surface escorts under tight budgets, repurposing commercial tonnage for specialized tasks such as mine warfare is an attractive lever. It also creates a bridge to MHC Block 2, envisioned as 3 purpose-built offshore support vessels arriving in the early 2030s. Those future hulls are expected to offer larger deck areas, fully integrated launch and recovery systems, and better performance in higher sea states. Decisions about mission bay layouts, cranes, and crew workflows on Stirling Castle will directly inform their detailed design, lowering risk before steel is cut. Stirling Castle's utility extends beyond mine hunting. The same characteristics that make her a stable robotics peer, power generation, deck volume, workshops, and precision station keeping, map neatly to broader undersea missions. Hydrographic survey work, seabed infrastructure monitoring, and rapid inspection of damaged cables or pipelines all benefit from a mothership able to host and launch a mix of autonomous vehicles. In an era when undersea infrastructure has become both an economic lifeline and a potential target, the ability to surge modular teams to a specific location, remain on station, and coordinate multi-sensor sorties is as much a security function as a maritime engineering task. There is a human dimension to the ship's transformation that should not be overlooked. Training a compact crew to operate a large deck ship while integrating new unmanned systems is a cultural shift as well as a technical one. Sailors who once specialized on Minehunter sonars now must collaborate closely with robotics technicians, data analysts, and software specialists. The crew's rapid preparation, compressing maintenance, safety qualification, and systems integration into a few months, suggests the Navy is consciously building a cross-disciplinary team whose habits will seed future autonomous operations across the fleet. The renewed affiliation with the city of Stirling adds a civic thread to that narrative, linking public support and maritime heritage to a modern mission centered on keeping trade routes and coastal waters safe. The ship's outward appearance still reflects her commercial origins. The blue and white livery will give way to Royal Navy grey in a future refit. That detail is more than cosmetic. It captures the speed at which the program has moved, bring useful capability to the water quickly, learn under real operating conditions, and refine in parallel rather than wait for a perfect end state. In practice, that means continuing trials through late 2025, completing operational sea training, and then deploying with the Mine and Threat Exploitation Group for sustained work around UK waters. Early tasks will likely emphasize detecting and disposing of legacy ordnance, rehearsing responses to simulated mine threats near critical ports, and exercising the full mission chain, from tasking and launch to post-mission data exploitation. As with any first of type, the real test will be reliability and tempo. Launch and recovery in sea state, battery endurance in cold water, vehicle autonomy around complex seabeds, and the flow of data between vehicles, shipboard analysts, and higher headquarters will determine whether the concept scales. The bottleneck may prove to be neither the vehicles nor the mothership but the orchestration. How many autonomous sorties can be planned, executed, and analyzed per day without overloading crew and systems? If Stirling Castle can demonstrate predictable, repeatable cycles, confidence will grow that a small number of motherships can cover wide areas and respond quickly to emergent threats. For now, the symbolism and substance line up. Sailing under the white ensign for the first time, HMS Stirling Castle embodies the Royal Navy's determination to move faster, adopt commercial best practice, and push risk to unmanned systems where it belongs. Her trials are more than a box-ticking exercise. They are a crucible for a new mine warfare model that promises greater reach, lower risk to sailors, and a more adaptable path from concept to capability. If the coming months deliver as planned, the United Kingdom will not just field a reflagged support ship, it will gain a blueprint for safeguarding the seabed in an age when mines, sensors, and infrastructure are reshaping the maritime battle space.